Okay, guys. Hello, hello. Who
Hello,
has
sir.
who made some money today? Who had some profit share?
I did. First time
Candace,
ever.
give us some inspiration. How much money did you make in profit share?
$47.
Yay.
I have three people. I have three people now in my profit share tree, all of whom are amazing. I'm not sure who this came from. I think it might have come from my person out in
Gray, you're noisy today.
Oh, I'm
Noisy?
sorry. It's a stupid chair.
Oh, great.
Okay, so you made $47. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Drew, where are you at?
I'm at the office, actually.
Okay.
I was going to sit in with you in person. I figured I'd get the one-on-one experience, but to my disappointment, you are not here.
Well, you can go sit in my office if you want.
Wow. That might give me some inspiration.
Yeah,
Just to turn
you can go. At least that way you don't have to wander around the office. You can focus.
I was about to leave and go back home, but I guess I'll just stay here now.
Okay. So let's go over some scripts today. Okay. 2021 is in the books as far as profit share goes. Okay. And it is time to decide how much time you want to spend and how much energy you want to spend on profit share. And
First, Bill, why don't you share what your profit share was? Because that's really inspirational.
Okay. My profit share this month was $6,996.
Holy mackerel.
Dang.
Just gave me a heart palpitation.
So, I'm not normally the big, dude to wave the flag around, but that is what happens when you spend time on it, right? And you don't give up and you play the long game and you just keep at it, right? I believe in this company. I believe that if people embrace this company and do the things that they ought to do, they will have success. And if they don't, it's not going to show up, right? So it's up to you to determine what you want that to look like. Okay. I'll read you a little inspirational phrase though, if you would like, which is, hang on. I read this to you at the end of last meeting. You guys remember what it said?
The end of last meeting. Was it the if you when your kids get older and they find out you had the opportunity to
That's exactly what it is. Drew, do you remember the phrase or do you want me to read it to you?
I don't know it word for word, so yes.
I'll read it to you with a little bit more sarcasm. I'll read it with a little bit of sarcasm, okay?
Got it.
And I'll put your name in there.
Perfect.
So Drew, at some point in time, your children, they're going to find out that your company offered you a willable opportunity to grow financial freedom and generational wealth for us, right? For you. And you're going to be asked, hey, Drew, hey, Daddy, how much time and energy did you spend invested in this opportunity and learning about this opportunity? And my question to you is, are you going to be proud of your answer? Right.
Well, if I don't take advantage of it, I will do everything in my power to make sure she never finds out about that opportunity.
Hey, I want to give you some good news and some bad news. I know your mother, and I will find out that woman's contact information. I will. And I will tell her how much time we spent together or did not spend together.
Perfect.
Okay.
I guess I have to do it now.
I know your mother. I will find out your daughter's contact information. I will. I have forewarned, for crying out loud. I'll get it. Okay. All right. So will you be proud of your answer? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to be proud of my answer for
That's
sure.
the bottom line. All right. I have spent a little bit of time in the last couple of days, kind of reorganizing some of the Cliff Note scripts that I had given to you, and mixed around and reordered them, and just did what a normal high C does, and kind of reviewed it and added things from different places and all these kind of things. So there's two documents that I'm going to share with you, but I'm going to read them today to you. Okay. The first is, and by the way, some of these are conversations that are or questions that might be a little bit more kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little bit more appropriate for a meeting, like a Skype meeting, or I'm sorry, a Zoom meeting, or an in-person meeting. But it doesn't mean you can't ask these on the telephone, right? Some of these are very, very deep, penetrating questions. Some of these questions, by the way, like I literally have had people in the interview chair with me break down because no one has ever asked them these questions, including their kids or their spouse, right? Or their parents. So don't be surprised when you are attempting to have these types of conversations that you get a very emotional reaction. Okay. I just want you to be equipped with them, like we do that exercise in Bold where you throw the ball back and forth, and it's like, ask me a question about whether, the buying experience. Hey, are you looking for a home near church? Hey, you're looking to be in a certain school district? Hey, is it important to have a fenced yard? Hey, where do you want the master bedroom to be? Right. And you're just coming up with question after question after question, so that you can keep the dialogue going. These are very similar, right? Just like you would talk to a seller, just like you talk to a buyer, there's certain things that the more you know about that prospect, the better you're going to be able to deliver what they need, or to serve them in general, or to use that opportunity as a chance to build some additional rapport. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of read off these scripts, and then what I'd like to do is walk you through an exercise, a model called the 4 quadrants, and then I'd like to do a little role play. Is that cool for today?
Let's do it.
All right. So my goal for today is to learn a little bit about each other, and more importantly, to see if there's anything I can do to support you in growing your business. Fair enough? Okay. So what I'd like for you to do as you're listening to these is to start jotting down either some phrases or words, or some general themes that you find to be kind of incorporated into these questions. Okay. I'm looking at my
first one more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to learn a little bit about each other, or my goal for today is to learn a little bit about each other, and more importantly, to see if there's anything I can do to support you in growing your business. Fair enough? Right. And by the way, there's tie downs and embedded commands and all that stuff in here too, just like you would expect. Okay. I'm looking at myself as a consultant, trying to see where I can bring value in your career. I want this meeting to be about you. You are 100% in control of this meeting. Okay. What is going on in your world that made you say yes to meet me today? Okay. Let's take a pause on that one for a second. I want you to picture this. Okay. You have scheduled a meeting, and it's the morning of the meeting. Okay. And the person is going to possibly travel to another location to meet you, or to meet the TL. Okay. Or they're going to get prettied up and do their hair and all that so they can sit down in front of Zoom with you. Okay. Now let's back out for a second. This is an agent that works at a totally different organization that is spending their minutes preparing and driving to a competitor's real estate office to talk to the boss of that, or one of the bosses of that particular organization, about their business. But let me tell you something. If they don't have a little bit of interest or a little bit of curiosity that's got to get satisfied, you're crazy.
Yeah.
They're already taking the first step.
Yeah.
They are walking into the lion's den.
Like they're already sold at that point.
They're already sold on the possibility they could be sold.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So it's really important to understand that. As soon as they let me have the appointment, oh shit, they don't know what they've agreed to.
I think if
They've agreed.
if you put
They've
yourself-
agreed to be a. They've agreed, whether they realize it or not, to be on my pipeline for the rest of their freaking life.
Mhm.
And they will come to Keller Williams, and most likely they will name me. And I'm not going to stop until they do. You know why? Because it's in their best interest to be here.
Mhm.
They're not going to hit their dreams at Palmer House. Are you kidding me?
What about EXP?
Them too. Them too. What the hell is that anyway? All right. Back to the subject. Do you see what I'm saying though? It's really important to understand this person is getting dressed up to go meet with the competitor's boss.
Mhm.
They're at least mildly interested.
Yep.
Okay.
There's definitely something there.
That's right. So what in the world is going on in your what is going on in your world that made you say yes to meet me today? Okay. What are your goals for the meeting? What's the most important thing we should be talking about today? By the way, if they just want to rant about their current transaction, let them rant. Do you know why?
Because if you can get the other person talking, it makes them feel like the conversation is a lot better.
Well, it's that it's in their control.
Mhm.
But let's go a little bit more specific. So if I say, what's the most important thing we should talk about today? And whatever they happen to talk about is, according to them, the most important thing to talk about, right? So if they happen to talk about like some deal that's about to fall apart or some deal they're worried about or some listing they need some advice on before the appointment or something like that, what they're telling you in a weird way, they ain't got anyone else to talk to that stuff about.
Mm.
Their broker's not been available for that. Or they've chosen not to even bother to go to the broker, either one of which is an opening for us, right? But really what they're saying is whatever they tell you, you got to remember, I was a stranger of theirs 3 seconds ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And now they're telling me about something that they find is the most important thing in their business. What they're basically telling you is they don't have a peer group or they don't have a leader or a mentor that they can count on.
Mhm.
Do y'all see how powerful these questions are?
And one of my favorite questions is around that. And it's, hey, as you sat down with your broker to talk about your 2022 goals, what kind of suggestions did they have for you? Because they never had that conversation with their broker, but they think it's
Right.
a normal thing for you. 'Cause it
Right.
is.
So you could ask that in a way where you could say something like, well, when you sat down, you could assume it's already happened.
Mhm.
Right. So you could say, when you sat down with your broker, like back in October, right, when you guys were doing business planning for this year, what suggestions did you guys come up with? And how is the implementation going so far? Right. So that's got a ton of embedded command, or not embedded commands, I'm sorry, but presuppositions in there, right? You're supposing that the appointment happened. You're supposing that the appointment happened at an appropriate time where you could actually do something about it, right? And you're assuming that they gave good advice, and you're assuming that there's been some follow-up, and you're assuming that they've actually taken the advice. See? And then they say, well, we're actually going to be doing that in early February. Early February? What you mean for 2023? Is that what you're talking about? Well, no, Bill, 2022. 2022, my coaching team was talking about that in October. I'm just surprised. So your broker's doing business planning in February? Interesting. That's like walking down the street for a mile before you open your umbrella. Like, I don't get that.
Interesting.
Interesting. Huh. Strange. Okay. You want to hear Gary Keller's appointment? You want to hear Gary Keller's script on how to recruit somebody?
For sure.
Very casual. Okay. Remember,
Yeah.
he's recruiting the people that are like, a couple thousand houses a year, mega expansion teams, just insanely brilliant business people, right? Here are his 3 questions. What should I know about you? What should I know about your business? And what has you thinking about making a move? Because ain't nobody coming into Gary Keller's world for some kind of a recruiting appointment if they're not really kind of curious. Am I right?
Mhm.
Okay, those are all the people will tell him everything he needs to hear.
What was the last question, Bill?
What has you thinking about making a move? Okay, all right, let's pivot just a second. So how many hours per week do you work? Are you satisfied with this? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolutely outstanding and 1 being terrible, how would you rate your business? Very similar question to what we would ask a seller, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, Drew.
How would you rate your home?
Mr. Patrick, at this beautiful home of yours, how would you rate your home? Well, I'd rate it a 7. So what would make it a 10? Well, if I did some painting inside and outside, it'd be a 10. And if I, kind of cleared the backyard out, it'd be a 10. And if I, replaced all the old light fixtures throughout the house, it might improve. Okay, great. So they just told you what all the feedback was going to be, and they told you. So don't be surprised when it happens. And when it happens, say, we knew this was coming, right? So what would make it a 10 is another way to say, what is your biggest problem? Let me see if I can fix it, which you can. Okay. If you could change a single thing about your business from last year, what would it be? And why is that important to you? Do you have a plan for after real estate? Well, after real estate, I don't know. I actually had a woman say this to me once. I don't know that there'll be an after real estate. I'll probably die showing homes. She actually said that. And I said, well, is that your plan? Or is that what we're planning on? Is it like, do you want to look at an alternative solution? Right?
Mhm.
Okay. You can ask similar questions, right? What are your goals? And they'll say, well, business goals, personal goals. Hey, whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart. Tell me whatever you're thinking about. It's all connected. It's either around time or money, right?
I think that's
Whatever the hell they say, it's going to either require time to do it or money to do it. Or whatever they're frustrated about is because of too much time or a lack of time, or too much money or lack of money. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Why are those goals important to you? Scale of 1 to 10. How important is it to hit your goals? How committed are you? I don't have this one here, but it's the kind of the question like, hey, sometimes we find that we're behind in our goals. And I'm just curious, there's generally 2 reactions that somebody could take when they're behind in their goals. One is they change their activities. And secondly, the other option is to change your goals. Which one sounds more like you? Are you the type of person that changes their activities? Or are you the type of person that changes their goal? Right? And if let's go down both paths for a second. If they're the ones that go down that change the activities, then you can say, tell me more about that. Because I can tell you right now, they're not surrounded by a bunch of those people. Quite frankly, those people are pretty rare, right? So even if they happen to have overcome whatever needs to be overcome,
Oh, we lost you, Bill.
I'm being real with you guys. You're in my inner circle here, okay? If they say, well, I'm the type of person, or I guess I've been the type of person to change my goals rather than change the activity, then you could say, how is that going? Are you pleased with the results?
Mhm.
Right? Do you believe you've reached your potential? How do you feel about that? How is it impacting you? Bless you. How is that impacting those around you? Make sense?
Absolutely.
All right. Where's your business now? Are you on track? Right? What is the gap? Right? Gap between the goal and the actual. What tools or solutions do you need to close the gap? Right? These could be things like tracking numbers, models, systems, technology, lead gen strategies, that kind of stuff. And who in your world is helping you with these goals now? Right? I'm not assuming that, well, kind of subtly I am, because I know people generally are not coached, but the biggest assumption is that there ought to be somebody helping them with their goals, right? And if there's not, there's a problem that we've now uncovered, and I want that person to feel that it's unacceptable to not have somebody that's coaching them through their challenges or through their goals, for that matter. Make sense?
For sure. It's so this script, all the script learning stuff, there's so many similarities that I'm starting to notice between the expired script and this script. I mean, these questions that you're asking, it's all about finding, I mean, it's like finding the pain point. Where does it fall off for you? As when, like you just said that you have somebody coaching you or whatever, it's the same thing as expired script just said, how did you find your last agent? And how do you feel about the job they did? It just kind of
exactly. And FSBOs, it's like, what information did you review in order to set your price? Or tell me about the marketing strategy that you've been using thus far. Same type of questions.
It is.
Right.
That's super cool. It's gonna make it so much easier for me to remember it because they're all kind of have a similar.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going through some of these. I think this is exactly what I wanted you to take out of this, Drew, is some of the phrases or some of the theory behind it and how that can, because I think I told you guys, when I started getting really good at recruiting, I started getting even better at sales, or like my sales business, if you will, right? Okay, so what do you want? What do you like about your real estate business? And what is it that you don't like? Right? Remember, theoretically, they have an organizational chart, which more than likely has them in every circle, right? And we know that the person's not going to enjoy all of those jobs. They're going to enjoy some of them, and they're going to hate some of them, right? Just like Drew, I mean, I'm just going to go out on a limb. I don't think we've ever talked about this specifically, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say you don't really enjoy making flyers, or you don't really enjoy putting names into the database, right?
Yeah, not really.
Exactly. But you're a business person and every business requires that, right? Okay. So when you're doing that job, you're frustrated. Okay. So I want to know what part of the job they like and what part they don't like. Because if somebody, let's say somebody is in the 3 to 4, maybe even closer to $5 million in production, and they're showing every house that their buyers want, they're being run ragged. Right? They could probably benefit from somebody explaining what a showing agent could do for them. You follow me? Okay. What is the first thing? This is a good continuation question. What is the first thing you would leverage if you could? What do you mean by that? Leverage? What do you mean by that? Oh my gosh. Don't shake the computer screen, okay? Leverage. So tell me a little bit about, like, are you doing 100% of every task that has to get done? Right? You might have to explain leverage to these people, for crying out loud. Okay. With the market shifting, what is the biggest challenge you face? What do you mean shifting? Well, inventory levels are changing, interest rates are changing, iBuyers are changing, brokerages are changing, technology is getting involved, right? What are the biggest challenges you're facing? Okay. This is a good one. It's a little bit more of like a team leader's line, but if you had keys to the kingdom, if you had the keys to the kingdom, what are the first 3 things you'd change at your brokerage? That's a very delicate way of saying, could you please bitch for me for a few minutes? I'd like you to complain just a little bit so I know what to fix. It's a different way of asking the same question. Do you have anyone coaching you at your current company on how to better leverage your time? Let's just assume they said no to that. Okay. Guys, there is no other responsibility that the leaders of our organization have than to help you with leveraging your time. That's all there is.
Mhm.
There is not, if you were to boil it down to one thing that the leaders of our organization do, that ought to be it. Do you agree?
Yeah, time is the most important resource that we have.
There you go. So if your leader, if the person who has taken you under their wing, the person who holds your real estate license, now should have their highest responsibility should be teaching you to manage your time, and you don't even know what the word leverage means, what the hell is going on?
Mhm.
Okay. Who's coaching you or helping you grow at your current company? What's important to you about your goal? Do you have a business plan? What process do you use to look for talent to help you? Guys, I gotta be honest, not a lot of other brokerages talk about teams or leverage. You know why? Because they don't want their people thinking like business people. Because as soon as they start acting like and thinking like business people, they go join Keller Williams, because that's where the business people are. Do you follow me? They're
Absolutely.
not teaching you how to do that stuff at Solid Source. They don't make enough money to teach you. Quite frankly, they don't make enough money to care. Okay. If you could do as much business as you wanted, what would that be? You don't think that's a valuable question? Easily 70% of the time, I say, what is your goal to somebody? They say, realistically, I'd like to blah, blah, blah. Just tell me your freaking goal.
I hate that. Realistically.
Well, I kind of want to do this, but realistically, I'm not trying to make fun of that. I'm just trying to tell you the world is full of that. And damn, they need us to help fix them. You follow me? All right. If you could double your business this year, what would that do for you and your family? Right? What does the next level of success look like for you? At production level, like at $2.75 million worth of sales volume this year, do you believe you've reached your potential? It's like what Heather said, there's always more to learn. I can always get bigger. Bigger isn't bad. Just means you have more people around you doing things for you and doing things together. Right? What do you believe is holding you back from reaching your goals? What I know from meeting with great agents like yourself, it's about one of two things. One, time. Two, money. Which is it for you? All your problems are going to stem from one of those two things. Generally. Okay. What is the vision for your business? Right? The CEO is in control of setting the vision for the market center. Right? I set the vision for Roswell when I was TL. Aubrey set the vision for Roswell when he's TL. Robin has a vision for Roswell. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's our primary job, is set the vision, corral the troops, and get the work done. Right? So what's your vision for your business? Well, I haven't really thought about that. Well, if you had thought about it, what would it be? I love that question. When somebody says, well, I don't really know. Say, well, if you did know, what do you think it would be? Well, I'm not really sure. Well, I got time. Let's think about it together. I do this all the time with people. What are you thinking? What's the first thing on your mind right now? You follow me? Don't let them off the hook, man. They need you. That's the moment. They're about to break. They're about to have their life changed. Don't give up on them. Where do you see your business in 3 years or 5 years? Right? Well, I don't know. Last year I did 3 deals. This year I did 4 deals. The year before I did 2 deals. I only have 3 friends that want to buy this year. Well, gosh, it kind of sounds like you're in the lead receiving business, not the lead generating business. Which one do you think is going to get you faster to your goals? How are you maximizing technology in your business? How are you going after your goal? Right? Would you agree that if you want to get a different result than you're getting today, you will need to make a change to your strategy, activities, and environment? Do you believe that?
Yes.
What change do we need to make today? Not what change do we need to make, but what change do we need to make today? It's an embedded command, right? What happens if nothing changes? Do you have any passive income now? Is it where you would like it to be? Do you have an exit strategy? Guys, let me make sure you're perfectly clear on something, okay? Unless you own something that is going to give you passive income, like your real estate sales business, then the last time you pull that sign out of the ground is the last time you'll ever be paid from your real estate business. Unless you have other people working for you or with you, where you have bought assets that spit off passive income. There is no other way. Plan your exit. Okay. Help me understand your non-economic goals. Why are those important to you? What do you get when those are achieved? Maybe they want to sail across something or whatnot. Maybe they want to, go camping with their kid for a month. Maybe they want to learn another language. Whatever, it doesn't make a difference. You want to know the whole person, right? If that change were made, how would it change your life? What do you do? What do you do to hold yourself accountable to implementing the changes that are required for your business to grow? There's a lot of presuppositions there, right? That they care about, that they know what it's going to take to make it grow, that they understand that it takes change, that they understand that it takes a plan, that they're interested in implementing those changes, and that they're willing to be held accountable to implementing those changes so they can change their life and then their business will grow. Do you hear all that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I share a tool I learned about recently to uncover the efficiencies in my personal and professional life? By the way, that could be the GPS or the 411 or your time management system, right? Most agents I meet with need more money or more time or more money. Which is it for you? How influential do you feel you are? What do you want to be known for? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Here's a couple really, really good ones. What are you pretending not to know? What do we believe is impossible for us to do that if it were possible would change everything? Would you be willing to make a change in your company affiliation if you could find a big enough reason to do so? And what would it take to make the move? Straight at it.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, you seem like the kind of person who would love it here. I'm going to make you an offer. What do you want the offer to be? Well, I want 2 signs and a free lockbox. Done. Come on in. Welcome aboard, sir. Just go to the heart of the matter. They'll ask for the dumbest little stuff, and you're like, okay, you want a freaking sign? Whatever. Come on. Sorry. What have I not asked you that I should have asked you? Right. Now, what questions do you have for me? Would it offend you if I put together an offer letter for you to join our company? Do you want a deal or do you want to grow your business? Did you catch that one? Let me repeat it because there's a lot in there. Do you want to deal or do you want to grow your business? So what am I actually saying?
That I don't know, that it may be cheaper at their brokerage or something. They're getting a better deal up front, but are you growing your business there? You either pay less to work at your brokerage, or you come over here and you grow, your future.
Yeah, you're pretty much there. It's like the cheapest place can't be the place that you grow. You follow what I'm saying? So it just separates the two. Like, you need to understand that if you're pursuing the cheapest place, it's not the place you're going to grow the most. Those are different places. I need you to be familiar with that. I need you to understand that. So you're going to get one or the other. Which one are you chasing? We going to Atlanta Communities, or are we going to KW? All right. Any thoughts, questions on that?
I feel like you probably wouldn't ask all of those questions when you sit down with someone.
No, of course not. But they're up here and they'll come to me.
Gotcha.
When needed. And I have some that are, that I like a little bit more than others. And, you've heard the idea of like, I'm sure if you've watched a lot of videos and these kind of things, like, if I was sitting down with you, Drew, like, let's say as a listing appointment, I said, okay, I've got I have some notes here. I just want to be able to write down a few things down. And I actually have a couple of questions that it's critical that I ask you these questions so that I can best support you and help you. And it's so important that I even brought a cheat sheet because I just don't want to forget. Right.
Absolutely.
And it's almost like, hey, I've got a bunch of questions to ask you so I can be the best, servant leader for you. I'm just going to scan through these to make sure I don't miss anything. And if God forbid, I don't think they would ever say this, but it's like, wait, you got a checklist? Like, wait, when was the last time you were on an airplane? You think you think the pilot's got a checklist? You better hope so. Right.
If you approach it with that, if you walk into it like, hey, this is the reason why I have this, I feel like nobody's gonna be like, whoa, dude, you couldn't come with it memorized or something. I don't feel like somebody's gonna react like that.
No, you just say, Drew, it's actually my first day. And that'll break the ice. And then you just keep going. Yeah. It's funny you say that. It's actually my first day. All right. So back to question number one.
And I also think it shows respect if you come prepared, and you say, do you mind, I want to make sure that I cover everything that's important and I get sidetracked. So I've got this here. Do you mind? And they won't mind. They won't mind. It's a sign that you're being respectful and care about their time.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. Candace, what did you hear from all those questions? You've probably had more experience than the others with these types of conversations. What has been how did you hear all those?
So I heard some questions that, very honestly, I've been chicken to ask. I've had a couple of people get emotional and, oh, it's so uncomfortable, but then I know that I can help them. Mm-hmm. But I think you've got, there's what I think is that there are all these questions in the toolbox, and the ones that there'll be ones that fit better for different people. But I think I like the ones that make them think. Mm-hmm. Those are my favorites. And almost
hang on one second, guys. Just 1 second.
First thing
Sorry, I just realized my wife sent me a message half an hour ago telling me to let the housekeepers in.
Come on, Mr. Bill. Come on.
Hey man, I'm focused on you.
You better be focused on your wife. that's a death sentence if you don't get that right.
Happy
That's
wife,
true.
happy life.
That's right. Well, she's going to come home and the place can be spotless and I won't have done a damn thing.
Leveraging
right.
time, I see.
But I think,
Yeah.
and I think
Yeah, of course.
the one perspective I do have is when you start asking these questions, nobody takes an interest in people to this extent. And they are extremely receptive to it. Once, if you've got an appointment with them and you ask them if you can ask them questions, they are so glad to be answering questions about this because nobody's asked them.
Mhm.
That's exactly right. One thing that I want to make a bit of a distinction here is that this is we are in many ways we are used to having personal relationships.
Mhm.
This is a business relationship. When I call these people, I'm not necessarily interested in being their friend.
Right.
I'm trying to change their life from a professional perspective.
Mhm.
Right. So when you're casually having a cocktail with a friend, yes, some of these questions seem a bit intrusive. When I'm trying to analyze their business, they're normal.
Mhm.
You follow? Now, when I first cold called Candace, I wasn't trying to become her friend, right? I didn't know or need to know a whole lot about her personal life, right? But as we have grown to understand each other personally, we've developed a relationship outside of our professional relationship. Is that a fair assessment?
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. She's like, wait, we're
I was
friends?
just like, hold on. I
Wait, Bill
I
who?
don't
What?
like you. I have one statement. I think just from reading over scripts and stuff, I always come back to this. how do you make the person on the other line feel comfortable with being vulnerable? And I think if you can get somebody to feel comfortable that being vulnerable, that's when you can make a really good connection and reach through. But with the other scripts, it's like you lead off by showing your own vulnerability. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, how would we be vulnerable in that moment to be able to make them feel comfortable about being vulnerable?
Do you think that you have to become vulnerable for others to become vulnerable?
Well, you have to make it the environment a safe space. I don't know what people call it, but you have to make it so that they open up by knowing that it's okay to be vulnerable because people don't want to be like, hey, yeah, my business sucks. And, to the person that they're talking to on the phone, I just met you. Yeah, my business is trash. I mean, some people might, but a lot of people have pride and have egos. And even though they do have a problem, they don't want you to know that they have a problem.
I think ultimately a lot of what I just read is kind of designed to create enough curiosity that the meeting should be necessary.
Mhm.
The script that I'm about to review with you now is you're going to feel like it's more like the meeting than the request for the meeting. And in that position, so I guess what I'm saying, Drew, is you don't have to go into a ton of detail on the phone with them.
Mhm.
Right? Because you're not going to cold call me and I'm going to open up to you all within 3 minutes. Right? I'm going to create enough curiosity and enough desire to take this meeting, and then we'll get into that where you've kind of almost prepared yourself better for it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you the number of people I've talked to, and I'm like, well, how's it going? How many deals have you done so far this year? And they're like, oh, 14. And I'm looking at the screen and it shows 3.
Mhm.
And I just leave that alone and just keep going,
That's
because
what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want us to know that they're struggling.
yeah, don't even, but it'll come out. You just, that's kind of an ego thing there. But when you just keep going and asking the questions, they will never probably reveal that they've only done 3 transactions, because that makes them a liar. But they'll start talking about, well, this year I want to do, and you can focus on, future, what well for you last year or what didn't, and use these questions, because it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like if you call up a seller and they say, oh, I think my home's worth 800, and you're looking at the comps and they say 550, you just go, oh, okay. And then you go over to the house and then you show the evidence, so that's kind of the same process that we're doing, except we're showing evidence of how to build your business to where you want to be. But the very first step is to identify what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And evaluate where you've been. And that's what some of these probing questions are designed to do.
Sure. I think
I was going to say, quite frankly, it's also around helping them understand that the more you know, the better you can help.
Mhm.
Right. So this is actually the opening for this meeting. This is a concept called pain versus pleasure. You guys have heard about that from Bold, probably. Right. And it's geared around the 4 quadrants, right? Positive present, negative future, positive future. So again, positive present, negative future, positive future. Okay. So the very first thing that you say at the beginning is, hey, I'm going to ask you a series of questions right now about how your business is operating. Don't be defensive. Don't take anything personally. Just be honest, right? It's done to understand what we have in business and what we don't have right now, right? And by the way, don't look at somebody's numbers and make an assumption about them, right? So if somebody did 3 deals or 4 deals, that may be the best year they've ever had.
Mhm.
And if somebody did 15 deals, that may be the worst. They may be completely broke because they have a lifestyle that is a bad year for them. And 2 years ago, they had a $400,000 business, and now they're about to lose their house because they only sold 15 homes this year, right? You just never know. I see you sold 6 homes. How do you feel about that? No, it's crappy. Great. What was your goal? Well, I didn't really have one. You didn't have a goal. Okay, so tell me, just out of curiosity, what does winning the day look like for you? Like, what does a typical day look like for you? Right? Just get them talking. Just ask a bunch of random questions if need be, so you know how they operate. Okay. So here are some questions for positive present. Really, what you're doing is you're like diagnosing almost. You're just kind of taking the temperature, right? What are your goals, personal and business? Why are they important to you? Where are you now? Are you on track to hit your goal, year-to-date closings, that kind of stuff? What is the gap between where you are and where you want to be? I'd like to sell 25 homes this year. Let's say we're talking in July. Okay, how many have you closed so far year to date? 4. Person's behind. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So, wow. So by this time, our plan would have called for you to sell around 12 or 13 homes. Is that right? And we've closed 4. Tell me a little bit about how your plan has changed based on how the first half of your year went.
Mhm.
Then you're going to find out if they're the type of person who changes the goal or changes the plan. Or I'm sorry, changes their activity or changes the goal, right? Do you have any other business or income streams? Right? Maybe they sold 3 houses and on the outside it looks like their real estate business sucks, but maybe they've got a ton of other stuff. So it's not that hard, right? What types of things do we want to do? Pay off debt, travel, investments, like basically what's your life by design, right? And who's on your team or in your world? Do you have a business partner? Do you have a wife? Do you have a husband? Do you have a coach? Do you have a broker? Do you have a friend? Are you surrounded by a bunch of people essentially that are, pushing you, or people that are pushing to make sure you don't get too successful and leave them in lurches, right?
Mhm.
You ever seen Drew? You go to the gym every day, right?
I sure do.
Do you see any 500 pounders there?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they don't need that influence.
Yeah. And
The 500 pounders don't want you, and the The 500 pounder doesn't want you, and you don't want them. Hey, Peter. He came in and left.
He just wanted to let us know that he's here in spirit.
All right, give me 2 seconds, because I actually wouldn't mind him hearing this.
Let me run to the restroom while you're doing that.
Okay. Okay, hang on one second for me. Okay. When all these goals are achieved, what do you get when that happens? Right? Why is that important to you? What do you get when that happens? Ultimately, why is that important to you? Right? Ultimately, what do you get? So if you guys have ever done career visioning, hey, Peter.
Hey there, I'm sorry to come in early.
No, I'm actually finishing up like a recruiting training. So maybe you might enjoy hearing the last like 10 minutes or so of this.
Okay.
Feel free to chime in if you want. We're just kind of going through the pain and pleasure for quadrants model.
Yeah.
You've probably done potentially some of this with your sales business, right?
Right.
And the example, the phrasing that we were just going over was from some stuff you might recognize from career visioning, right? So career visioning is the program that helps the proprietary program that KW has to help you grow, right? So looking for talent, determining who should be on the team and what seat they should be in, and how they're performing and how they're being held, what are the standards, how are they being held accountable, how are things going in either direction, right? Peter, by the way, is a mega agent with his wife out of the Midtown office. We met a couple of weeks ago at the Train the Presenter event, and he, if I can just say this really quickly, like there are a bunch of people that heard my profit share story in the room, but Peter was the only one that cared enough about it to ask me another question. Basically.
Well,
So I
mean, it's a pretty compelling story to me. So I'm interested to learn more quite how you did it. So, because we aren't where we want to be with that aspect. So anyway, I don't want to take any more time.
No, I wanted everyone to know who this dude was, whether they should be on their best behavior or not.
Yeah.
So a lot of these questions, like, why is that important? Well, why is that important? And what happens when that gets accomplished? Oh my gosh. So ultimately, when all of the house is sold and you're living in Seattle and the grandkids are near, on the street next to you, and you're all settled in your new home, how are you going to feel? See what I'm saying? So it's very, very parallel concepts. Okay. Now, how important is it to you that all of these goals are accomplished on a scale of 1 to 10? Right. And we asked this question on the last example. In my experience in meeting with top producers like yourself, very much an embedded command, right? Agents are either looking for more time or more money. Which is more important to you, right? Here's where we go into the transition to the next quadrant, okay? So earning $130,000, it's not just about the $130,000. It's also about providing a college education for your grandkids. Is that right? So then you go back to kind of the kind of, I don't want to call it staleness, but like kind of the unemotional number, and tie it to something that they believe is like a calling, right? It's very emotional for them. And obviously by this time they've gotten, more than likely, they've opened up, they've become vulnerable. And so you always want to recognize that vulnerability and say something to the effect of, gosh, thanks for sharing about that, right? Peter, very much similar to concepts we learned the other day in and being in front of a room, right? When somebody shares an idea or asks a question, you always recognize that, right? So one thing I know is the environment must support our goals. And 80% of our success is your environment. Would you agree? So here's the transitional question. What is it about your current environment that is not conducive to your future success? So now we're moving from positive present to negative present. So now they've kind of laid the groundwork for where they currently are, and now we're transitioning into negative present. Okay, so here I'm just going to kind of rattle off some of these questions that might identify some gaps. Okay, this is where we go deep. Okay, what is keeping you from hitting your goals? How many hours a week are you working in your business? Give me an idea of how much time how you block time on your schedule on a daily basis. Does your schedule match your goals? How much time are you spending away from your family? What does your lead generation every day look like? Right? Again, a lot of these phrases have some embedded concepts, right? What does your lead generation, I didn't say what does your lead generation look like, or I didn't say do you lead generate? I said, what does it look like every day? So I'm assuming that they do it, and I'm assuming they're doing it every day, right? They're very powerful questions because they hear these things and they've never heard these phrases. I tell you what, 8 out of 10 of these, their wife's never even asked them. Okay. Peter, I'll send you these, okay?
Great, yeah.
How is your database constructed? Are you generating enough leads? How many people are you adding into your database daily? What touch system or communication system do you use with your past and future clients? Chances are they're going to say, I don't have one. Wow. You don't have one? Wow. Okay. Let's moving on. Peter, I'm a little bit of a smart ass.
A little bit. Lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's interesting.
so how predictable on a scale of 1 to 10 do you believe your business to be?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right. How do you great job. Very good highs and lows there. Great job. How do you specifically set your goals? And how do you specifically track your goals? Are you on track to hit your goals this year? And are those goals written? What is the economic model that you currently use to operate your business? Okay. Do you run a P&L for your business now? Okay. Oh, I wish I could do this. My 12 o'clock meeting is already in the waiting room. Wouldn't that be cool if I could just do it in front of y'all? I would never do that. Okay. Do you have clarity on what it takes each day to hit your goals? Do you track your expenses? Do you know what it costs to run your business? Basically, you're poking holes in their business right now, right? So Peter, pretend like I was giving, I understand, Candace, thank you for being here. Peter, let's pretend like you were at Compass or Sotheby's or something like that, and I was asking you these questions. Wouldn't you, I mean, you have a pretty solid business, but if you didn't have a business like that, you might be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, this guy like talking about P&Ls, like he could probably help me. Hey, you told me one of your goals is to hire people this year. Just tell me, where are you now in your business and what specific system do you have to cast a vision to go out and recruit, hire, and train those talented people for your team? Oh gosh, I don't even have time to eat dinner with my wife. How am I going to do that? That's a good question. We should probably look into that, right? Because the exact moment you need help is the exact moment you ain't got the time to go find the help. Mm-hmm. Right? Peter, you're probably about to hire somebody too, because you're in that
Yes.
I think you told me you're probably in that 400-ish or so GCI. Like, you're constantly filling your bench. I know exactly what you're doing. Right? What specifically are you going to do this year on your growth plan to grow your business? What's a growth plan? Oh my gosh, you're not operating off of a growth plan? Sounds like we should meet. You see what I'm saying? What model are you using? This is a little similar. What model are you using to hire, train, and grow effective candidates? What education do you have to intentionally scale that? Right? Hang on.
Bill, do you get them into the, the 4 box, gets them to future pain?
Yeah, I'm headed there in 2 seconds. I'm
Okay,
just giving you rattling off
Yeah.
the list.
yeah,
Peter, if it's cool, let me continue on this
Yes.
path for like another 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
then
No,
that'll give you a good overview of, and then I'll
Yes.
share my story with you shortly.
That's fine.
So let's see, based on your current situation, are you based in a productivity based environment where the top leaders in your organization are sharing with you? And if not, how will you access the models and systems necessary to go from where you are to the next level, right? What's the impact to you and your family if nothing changes? Now we're starting to get towards that transition. What I'm hearing is, and then you recap the answers for all this stuff, right? Summarize it. And then you say, so a year goes by and nothing changes. So now we're moving into the third quadrant, right? We must make changes to avoid the present to move into the future, right? Where your business is now, it sounds like parts of your business are working, yet we're here for a reason. So what is happening that is not going so well, right? Or what do you believe you're looking for such that if you had it, you would reach the next level and achieve your goals? So out of curiosity, what happens if nothing changes? Right? I'm not talking about changing their broker. I'm talking about changing their business. Problem is not the problem, but the fact is they basically think it's the same. In reality, a lot of times it is, right? What if your business does not change in 2022, 2023, or 2024? How will you attract talented people in the future, right? Because likely they've told me they don't have any training in that, and they're not intentional about getting any training about that, right? What will you feel if your business continues to stay the same over the next 3 years? When you build your business and look to make a change in the future, what would that change cost you? And what will happen to your relationships if you stay on a path of spending more time in your business than in your life with your family? Right? Okay, now we're going to the positive future. We know that nothing happens until something moves. So out of curiosity, what move do we need to make today to get into an environment that is productivity specific, that would allow you to get these models and systems into place and think about business differently, such that you can be on a path to achieving these goals this year? And they say, oh, well, maybe, I got this listing coming up. I don't know if I'm ready to leave or whatever, right? Say, look, if we could establish an action plan that allows you to hit your goals, generate more leads, and put more time back in your life, are you ready to get started? It's the close, right? If I can sell your home for $400,000 with little stress, little anxiety, and do it quickly.
She's like,
hey, Donna,
why are you sitting in Bill's office? I was like, I got his permission.
then are you ready to sign the paperwork? Right? It's bold over and over again.
Hold on.
Okay, so that was kind of the some of the scripts and some of the theories that I wanted to review with you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and hit the end of the. I'm going to hit the stop on the recorder, and for Gray and Drew, I will post these, and I'll send them to you, Peter, too. These couple scripts that we reviewed today, just to give you a better feel for just kind of the basic approach, right? It's we're not doing anything crazy here. We're simply asking people how they're doing. And you guys have heard me say this phrase 1,000 times. Here's the deal. Realtors, they got 1 or 2 problems. That's it. I challenge anyone to confront me on this. I've been around long enough. You got one of two problems. You either don't have enough leads or you have too many leads. That's all there is. Okay. And if you don't have enough leads, Keller Williams is perfectly aligned to solving those problems, whether it be technology, mindset, coaching, business planning, command, lead generation tactics and strategies, modeling, Ignite, Bold, family reunion, if you don't have enough leads, there are resources for you. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
And what I generally find is that breaking point is somewhere in the $4 to $5 million neighborhood. Okay. Once you get past 5 million, I've been there. I didn't care about your pre-qualification letter. I don't care about your pre-qualification letter. I don't care when you want to see homes or when you want to, what kind of homes they are, or where they are. I'm going to bed. I'm exhausted. And I'll see you in a little while. Right. And the only way you're going to get past that, which I wanted to, and Drew, I know you want to, and Peter, you're already there. You need help. Right. And that's when you have too many leads. Now, is there a company, I'm trying to think about this. Is there a company that wrote the book on building a real estate team? Is anyone familiar with that? That's the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, yeah? Is there anyone that has proprietary software and personality assessments on how to make sure you get the right person in the right seat? Yeah. And they're teaching courses all across the country, and you got team leaders that are specifically trained and hired to help you build wealth and you build your team. Peter, Denise, you're a team leader, and I worked together for 10 years almost. No, not quite 10 years. So 7 years, 7 or 8 years on building my business and building my mindset and understanding who I needed to be hanging out with and what I needed to be learning for years and years and years. You could walk into her office and ask her for anything, and she will do it in a heartbeat, because that's the type of person she is. Right? So with all of that said, again, every person that you speak to, they have a dream. Okay, they got their real estate license because they want a better life. And I'm going to tell you right now, 99% of them ain't got the life they want. And it's generally because they don't have enough leads. And so they spend most of their time working with people that don't deserve them, right? Or people that live in areas that are way out of their market area, right? Or people that just flat out won't do the work, right? And then there's another group, and we can help them. And there's another group of people that are looking to grow, that are en route to having a great business. They just need to take more control over their life. They're basically running a restaurant by themselves right now. They're seating everyone, they're cooking all the food, they're ringing up the orders, they're bussing the tables, they're filling the water glasses, they're making the cocktails, they're doing everything, and they're tired of it. Okay, so when you come across a real estate agent and you just simply ask them, hey, how's business? They're going to bitch about something within 30 seconds. Okay. And it's going to sound like one of two things. I either don't have enough leads or I have too many leads. Right. And then we just have to take them down that path, right? Invite them to the class, get them in front of the team leader. Keller Williams is an experiential company, right? Peter and I got a chance to experience. Can you give me 30 seconds? Okay, that's okay. 30 seconds. We got a chance to experience being in the room with super talented, loving people. If we were guests in that room, man, I would have walked out of there and said, how do I get back in there? Right. You know, some companies that don't even meet in person, they don't have weekly team meetings and these kind of things. You see what I'm saying? All right. Thank you for letting me be on a diatribe for an hour. I am passionate about this organization.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, I got everyone can check their KW command and see what their check was from profit share this week. And I love giving classes around this time of the month because that's my check was a very good hourly rate. Okay. You guys have an awesome day. Peter, hang on with me. Okay.
Yeah.
See you Tuesday. Bye.
Man.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds. I just want to make
Yeah,
sure
sure,
that
yeah.
the person knows that I am we're supposed to meet at 12, not 11:30. Just a moment. Well, I hope that was helpful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At the end of the day, I think it's important to understand kind of the okay. Okay, let me take this out of the room for a second. Thank you. Okay. So I think it's important to kind of have a global view on what agents are looking for and what causes them to be intrigued and how intrigued and what our
Right.
role is and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about you guys and what I can help you with.
Well, I mean, Sarah's been, in business for 10 years, since 2011, but, has not spent much time focused at all in building a downline and, missed opportunities. And it just strikes me, wanted the opportunity to follow up with you to learn more about specifically what you've done and how you've done it. So yes, the script, getting, the scripts and at least reading them and making them, making my wife aware of them and also our buyer's agent and encouraging them to practice, with whoever they're meeting and me too, to the extent I'm meeting agents, absolutely engage them in the conversation and see where it goes. So what you just kind of what has gone in, what's been particularly successful for you, and try to pick your brain in terms of what 20% of the activities lead to 80% of the results. What are the 20% from your perspective, or at least for you? They may be a different 20% for us because people are different, but I want to understand that. That's what I want to understand. So
Yeah, great. You got some great questions there. As I mentioned in my my speech or whatever the other day, it's basically a many years of kind of trying to figure it all out. Like, I knew that if I could adopt the same lead generation principles and follow up and scripts and kind of relentless pursuit of people, then I could have successes just like I had successes in working with buyers and sellers, work with recruits or with other agents. So I've done a little bit of everything. I've been on the ALC for many years and as the growth chair, so I've kind of gotten the kind of the corporate speak, if you will, about it. And what I decided to do was just to go have a bunch of conversations and try to figure out from the people themselves what they were trying to figure out, right? So like, I studied the other companies, I studied their history and who owns them and they're public and private. What are they offering? What's their compensation package look like? What's their offering package look like? Who are the types of people that are generally attracted to those models, right? So I'll give you an example. Like Remax is kind of reverted back to more of a dependent company now. But when Remax first came out, they were kind of the first independent company. This is back right around the time of the internet. And a lot of these agents that were building their businesses at big brands like Harry Norman and Century 21 and Coldwell Banker, they realized that they were the reason why they were doing business, not the brand. And then they were attracted to a compensation model like Remax had at the time, which was they'd pay like $1,500 a month or something like that to essentially rent their space. And then they would keep 95 to 100% of their commissions. So if you're doing 5 deals a month, that's a great place to be. If you're doing 5 deals a year, that's a terrible place to be.
Yeah.
Right. So the compensation models themselves will kind of weed out or will attract the type of person that's attracted to those models. Right.
Yeah.
And so when you're speaking to somebody at Century 21, which is many times the most expensive company in town, versus a company like, let's say, Chapman Hall or Virtual Properties or something, that's one of the least expensive places in town. So you got to kind of understand that model a little bit. What I
Yeah.
first did is back when Craigslist was free, I posted essentially just job ads on Craigslist about people that want to, get into the real estate industry. And you could do something similar with respect to like the what do you call it, K-score, right? The free real estate school. And then what I decided to do is my assistant and I had a virtual assistant forever for 6 or something years. And I had her look up the all of the cities on Craigslist that you could post for free. And we cross-checked that list with all of the cities that were within 30 miles. I just picked that number, 30 miles of the Keller Williams office. And we found at the time there was 89 cities. So every day we posted in every one of them. Right.
Wow.
And I was on the phone all day, and it seemed like all night, talking to people about getting into real estate school and introducing them to the local career day and all these kind of things. What I realized after enough of this time is that I was meeting a lot of people that just were so far away from decision time that it was hard to, keep track of it all.
Yeah.
Plus you had a lot of people that were like, not trying to be disingenuous here, but like, oh, I can't afford real estate school and these kind of things. So like, it's a lot of people that you kind of, you got to identify the best leads and let some of it go. So, in the course of doing that, I met an owner out of Virginia, a KW owner, and got an opportunity to do some stuff for her. So she was sending me the list of the passers and the failers, and I was calling them. And then I started calling the passer and failers, or passers, I should say, in Atlanta. For like about 2 years straight, I called over 5,000 passers and put well over 100 of them into my downline in market centers all over the city. I started teaching classes a little bit at the market center. Then I was asked to teach some classes outside of the market center. I have gone to every profit share class or training that's available. I was ultimately parlayed that into an opportunity to get a little ownership stake in Israel, KW Israel. And now, so then I was asked to be team leader. So I was team leader in Roswell for a year and a half. And then I was asked to be productivity coach. So I'm kind of fine tuning some of the skills from a recruiting standpoint and from a leadership standpoint and from a modeling standpoint and from a productivity standpoint. From a training perspective, right? Mentoring and coaching perspective that I can pour into these agents. Like when they say, hey, well, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of control over my time. Can you help me with that? So I know these models, right? So one of the phrases that I use a lot in my coaching program is I said, look, when the head hits the pillow every day, you have to ask yourself 2 questions. Number 1 is, am I smarter tonight than I was this morning? Right? Am I a better business person? Do I understand something more about the industry? Do I have more confidence? Right? Do I have more know-how on the systems and the models and the technology? Like, can I be a consultant? Can I be a better consultant? Right? To either my future peers that might come to KW, or to my staff, or to my spouse, or to my clients, right? Am I better at what I'm doing? Right? Am I learning based?
Right.
And secondly, are you meeting people? Right? Is there a possibility that as I put my head on the pillow tonight, that more people would come to me if they were to have a real estate need than would have been the case this morning? Right? And if every day you're asking yourself those 2 questions and you're giving an affirmative answer, then you're on track, right? You're getting that 1% better every day. And so when you put a recruiting spin on that, are you getting more confident with what to say and how to coach and how to guide and how to inspire and these kind of things? And secondly, where's your pipeline, right? Are you actually speaking to people too? right? And just like you have a seller pipeline or a buyer pipeline or a talent pipeline, you ought to have a recruiting pipeline. Hey, these are people that are, they've got an issue, right? I just got to figure out what their issue is. They either don't have enough leads, or they got too many leads, or they're, something's going on at their broker, or they feel like they're underpaid, or the leads that their team leader is giving them suck, or it's always something. Nope, I haven't talked to a realtor that's happy yet.
Yeah. So let me ask you that. How do you get the list of recent passes?
So it's through PSI, which is like a testing service. To be honest, I'm having some major issues with them right now with their being able to get the list, but they do sell the list. They sell it for a couple of states, and so I was cold calling those people. Hey, congratulations on passing your new test. Hey, tell me where you are in the process. Have you started interviewing? Have you started research? Hey, I'd like to share some information with you, about Keller Williams. Love to get you in front of the appropriate team leader. Want to help you to understand why I'm the one that's calling, right? Which is profit share or sponsorship. And, want to offer my assistance, right? What can I do to help you? Right. When I send a lead to Denise, it goes on a list, and I know when I need to call Denise back to say, hey, did you meet with John yet? Hey, any questions I can handle? And then I'll call John. Hey, did you meet with Denise yet? Anything you got on your mind? Any questions? What can I do to help you? Right. So this is constant back and forth of making sure that people get what they need, right? They need the appointment. Then they need to do something about the appointment. And then they need to make a decision where they need to keep going on appointments. I mean, I've given hundreds, thousands probably, hours of free coaching, right? But I also think that one thing that I would begin to internalize, Peter, is your story, right? It's how has this organization caused your life to change? So that goes in a few different directions. One is mentally, right? From a leadership perspective, from a organizational perspective, from a purpose perspective, from a productivity perspective, right? Particularly if I remember correctly, some of your previous work experience, I think you say some of that stuff and people are pretty impressed, right? And then when they hear that a person like that has been impacted in the way you've been impacted at KW, they like to hear that story. So I would encourage you to really kind of put together some ideas, and I'm happy to walk you through some of that. But what is that story for you? Right. Let me tell you about what happened when I came to KW. And let me tell you about the time that, I learned this, and then that caused me to get this, and then take advantage of this. And let me tell you what happened when that happened. And oh my gosh, I hired our assistant, and our assistants changed our world. Right. And we hired a buyer's agent. Now we have dinner together as a family. You see what I'm saying? It's why has this company impacted you? Like Gary Keller says, leadership is helping you think the way you need to think so that you can get what you want when you want it. Right. And that's different for every person. So I think I said this on the call a few minutes ago before you came on. Don't judge somebody based on their numbers, right? Because somebody that sold 15 homes, that might be the crappiest year they've ever had. And somebody who sold 4 homes, that might be the best year they've ever had, right? I literally remember walking somebody into a home. This is very early in my career. It's a $725 a month rental in Sandy Springs. And I walked her through the door and she started bawling. And I said, what's going on? She's like, I've never been able to afford to live in a place like this before. And I was like, wow, it's pretty amazing. Later that day, I showed a $700-something thousand house to a different woman. And I walked her into the master closet, which was larger than the entire $725 a month rental. And I said, wow, look how big this closet is. She looked at me like I was on Mars. She's like, I can't fit half my stuff in here. So you just never know what you're dealing with. But the one thing that I've found that everyone wants is they want to talk about their dreams, and they want to talk about, and they want to hear stories, right? And
Yeah.
so if you can get, I mean, you are a person of persuasion, right? You're a person of influence. All you have to do is kind of think through how you can tweak those conversations and use the skills that you guys have already developed to inquire and to inspire and to lead and to encourage and to cause doubt in certain situations, right? And to speak straight to them in certain situations, so that you can, if assuming it's an appropriate match for them, which, you know, outside of, you know, ethical concerns and, you know, things like that, it ought to be. That's what, you know, that's when you're doing your job, right? And then the cool part about our system is it's leverage in some ways. Like I can send, like, let's just pretend you and I were having a conversation, you worked elsewhere. And I said, oh my gosh, you're in Midtown, Peter? One of my favorite people is in Midtown, Denise Buchanan. You need to meet with Denise Buchanan. And you go down to Denise Buchanan. I've already done my job. I introduced you to the leader. We're a franchise. There's a Dofi there. There's a training room there. There's a training calendar there. You can get Ignite. You can get Bold. You can get Train the Presenter. You can go on command. It's all there. I've only been to the Midtown office 5 times probably. But I know that if I were to send you to Midtown, you're going to be in good hands, right?
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
the case at 850 offices across the country, right?
Yep.
And by the way, when you're helping a bunch of these team leaders grow their market centers, they like you, right?
Yes.
And then
Sure
when
they-
somebody gets
yeah.
a lead that's like, oh, you know, I want to buy a home, or I need to sell my home in Roswell, but I need a listing agent in Midtown. Oh my gosh, you got to call this guy Peter. He's down in Midtown. Right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
again, it's like you're just collecting relationships.
Yep.
So in many
Yep.
ways, it's no different than sales. It's
Yep.
building a big book of business of people that feel trustworthy enough with you to open up, and that's it, really. That's it.
Great.
I'm happy to have future conversations with you. Was this what you were hoping for,
Yeah.
expecting? Or
No, I think that this, you know, this is very, very, very helpful. And, you know, I'll give it some additional thought. I guess, you know, I see, I'm thinking out loud, but I see kind of, this is an opportunity for me to help build this downline, you know.
of course.
In the short term, maybe less of Sarah's time, but I'll leave it up to her. But I see this is something I could take on and try to help with. And you've given me the idea. I've been wondering how to engage in the market center, and perhaps joining the growth committee would be a good thing for me to begin to build my additional acumen around the language and the corporate speak around that, and contribute.
Yeah, it's just it's putting yourself in the room, right? If you're
Yes.
in the room with a bunch of people that talk about health, then you think
Yes.
about health.
Yes.
If you're in the room with a bunch of people that talk about the, you know, books that they're reading, then you tend
Right.
to read books, right?
Yeah.
So like it's the same concept. So if you put
Yeah.
yourself in the conversations, I think you'll get a lot more from it. There's a Facebook group that I'll encourage you to go look at. It's called Profit Share Mastermind,
Yep.
or KW Profit Share Mastermind, I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
It should be pretty fun today because all the posts just came out, because the profit share pays on the 21st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry, it took me a
Listen.
little while to get back to you, sir. I appreciate
That-
your patience, and
No,
pleasure
I
meeting you.
Listen, I'll appreciate your time greatly, as well as your insights, your knowledge. So thank you so much. And I will follow up with you. You know, I'll let you know kind of what plan of action I'm pursuing, but I'm happy to know about PSI. I'll be looking into that, and the growth committee, definitely be looking into that next. So
Beautiful. Glad I could help you.
and please share the script.
Yes, sir. All right,
Will
take
do.
care now.
Hey, have a great one. Bye.
You too. Bye-bye.